What's good, everyone? Trataros here with another Knicks episode of the Knicks Jets Etc. podcast. And with me is always my buddy, my coach, my pal, the man with a plan, the guy who's ready for fucking New York Knicks basketball tomorrow. Preseason, baby. You know what it is. My guy, John Meleka. How you doing today, boy?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's Victory Monday. The Jets got a W. It's also London week. Still can't get over it. I'm ready for London. We got the Knicks preseason coming up. We also have a little Yankees Red Sox wild card game. I mean, October is everything everyone promised. So I'm hyped right now, but we'll see how long this lasts. It's October 4th. So we'll see how long this high lasts, man.
For sure. And I'm right there with you. I'm excited to, I'm going to see if I can get in tomorrow. I'm ready to get hostile tomorrow. I'm ready to be in Fenway.
Get your butt to Fenway, bro. Get your butt to Fenway.
I'm trying to see if I can get this guy on the pod. We got two phenomenal guests with us on the pod today. All right. Let's start with the first time guest. We got both of them are from the Strickland, awesome writers for the Strickland, awesome podcasters for the Strickland, but you probably also know them from back in the day at Posting and Toasting, where you could have heard them. Awesome stuff over there as well. We got Drew, my guy, lives here in Boston with me, also a fellow cat dad, big New York Knicks fan. How you doing, Drew?
I mean, I'm doing all right. The prison allowed me to call in right now, so I'm doing pretty good. So,
how's prison?
It's great, man. Every day is the same. It's wonderful.
Three squares a day, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know that's what they called Boston out loud. Yeah,
man,
prison out loud,
yeah.
Dude. I thought they were just like low key.
Absolutely. If anyone on the YouTube right now, you can see Drew with just a plain, I guess, bone white wall, like a nail in it. Looks like you're just like, oh my god, terrible.
I feel like nail.
One nail.
Drew, I feel like Drew needs to have a beer or something just to liven it up a little bit.
I got some oolong tea to relax myself.
Let's go.
Nice.
There you go. And if you guys hear the other voice and the laughter, you know who it is. This man is the bullshit fighter on Twitter. If you come at him with the nonsense, he's gonna retweet that shit and just burn it down. My guy, ShwinnyPooh. What's going on, Shwin?
Not much, man. Just having some booze, talking some Knicks. It's all good. I actually just did a little thing before this, a little podcast before this with somebody else. So that's why I was like 10 minutes late. But
are you gonna give him free promotion?
I'm not.
Okay.
It's called Hoopsology. Check it out. I'll retweet it tomorrow.
Looking forward to it. Well, we're all here, guys, because as I mentioned earlier, we got some New York Knicks basketball starting tomorrow. We got preseason right around the corner, but we got to do a little housekeeping first because Luka Vildoza just got waived. Who didn't see this coming? Anyone?
Yeah.
Anyone didn't see this coming?
Does anybody care? Like, I don't.
The Vildoza
care.
hive cares. Come on, man. The Vildoza hive that, like, as soon as he got signed, everyone's like, "Yo, this is the point guard of the future." For like a hot second.
Well, that was when Elfrid Payne was our starting point guard.
That's what I was gonna say. Like when he was signed, everyone was so hyped, and now look at us, man. We're like, oh, we don't care.
I didn't even tweet about it. I didn't even respond. I was just like, okay, cool. Like,
Yeah.
all right.
He was Pablo Prigioni. We were watching highlights from his high school. Like,
We had
a couple months ago.
We had Ted, who's also a writer at the Strickland. Right, he had, like there was like a huge piece
it was
about
like 10,000 words.
Yeah,
10,000
and
words?
God
damn.
Dissertation on Luka.
Actually, fun fact. You guys can make fun of him about this. Jeremy, Jeremy Cohen,
Yeah,
a
of
good
course.
buddy.
Mm-hmm.
He had a whole plan of like writing. He was gonna write this piece about like, some fucking nerd bullshit. Like, if they waive him on like,
it's like,
like they waive him on October 15th before 7 p.m. Like,
fuck out of here.
yeah, just okay, dude. He had this whole thing that he was gonna write, and then that news came, and he like in our channel, he added to Alex and was like, "Yep, guess you can cancel that piece."
That's hilarious. I mean, he was the second coming of Pablo, and now he can't catch the 15 spot. Do you guys think that means anything for Theo? I mean, Theo Pinson, Alex might as well cry when Theo Pinson went to the Boston Celtics. Do you think it opens up the door for him or anything like that, or it's really for Dwayne Bacon?
No, I think they're gonna let Pinson do his own thing. I think they brought in Pinson for a reason last year. They needed a hype man. They needed somebody to just look. Here's the thing. I think the Pinson signing was really, really smart last year for a few reasons. Primarily, like with COVID, you didn't play with crowds. Like you didn't have that natural kind of like atmosphere, that juice in the arena when you walk in. So you needed to generate your own atmosphere. Like Pinson did that shit. Like I don't even know, man. That dude must have been on so much Molly. Like it's incredible.
He was so happy to be there. He really was. Even on the road, dude.
He was just nuts. Like, and you needed your own bench to create energy so much for last year. And like, I'm not saying like I'm not trying to diminish like the importance of that even when there are crowds. Like I do think that shit matters. I would love to have Pinson back, but I think that Pinson wants to go somewhere where he thinks at least he'll have a chance to get minutes. He knows he's not going to get minutes on the Knicks. He knew that like because he never got minutes last year ever. So I don't think there's anything big they're going to do with it. I think it'll be like Bacon or MJ Walker. I don't think it's going to be Selden. Selden actually fucking sucks, and I am.
Yeah, he's bad.
Hot take.
He was terrible in summer league. Like he's not gonna be on the NBA roster unless he's like best friends with, I don't know, fucking like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander or something. But like
Sean McVay. Does that translate?
Yeah, yes. But like like I don't know. I don't really care. I will say like the Vildoza signing, I still think it was smart. Like it cost them nothing. They had leftover cap space last year. They used it to sign a guy who literally they didn't even pay guaranteed dollars beyond last season. The contract was structured in a way that if he was really good, it gave them a huge advantage. It was like 3 years non-guaranteed, right? So I still think it was like the sign of a shrewd team, and they deserve credit for like kicking the tires on whatever there is out there to address the point guard situation. Obviously, they got Kemba, so that's a different caliber of solution. And like I mean, also the Vildoza, he got hurt. His ankle is still messed up. He hasn't practiced. Like he's not going to be ready probably for the season. It makes no sense to keep him at that point. So I don't think it says much of anything beyond like why would we keep a guy that's injured at a position like he was going to be what the fifth guard on the team? You know, like he was going to be behind Kemba, Rose, Quickly, Burks, RJ, however you want to rank them as guards. Might have been ended up being behind McBride, Grimes,
absolutely
like,
behind McBride too.
Yeah. So like it doesn't make sense for him either, right? Like maybe there's another NBA team out there that wants to take a shot on him. He'll latch on, or maybe he goes back to Europe. Whatever. At least either way, like he got paid $3 million last year to do nothing, literally to do nothing.
Yeah.
I don't think the Knicks did anything evil here. They did fine, no matter what crazy Kristen wants to tweet out.
Yo, can we just? I figured out who she was as soon as when Isola used to write for The Athletic, and she would always comment under his stuff because everyone would just like say read Isola stuff. It's like, where's the direction of this piece going? Like, how did it start here? How did it end here? And she's like, you just hate Isola. I'm like, who is this? How do you know Isola? How are you keep defending this person? And I was like, I saw the names. I was like, that's you. Okay.
Why are you like? Imagine being an Isola simp. Like
yeah, it's a wild.
What is that?
Wild thought.
Like, what does that entail? Like you just
thought.
You love like shitty, garbage writing from a guy that has like vampire teeth and looks like the villain in like I don't know, like a really shitty Bond film or something. Like I don't know. Like he just sucks, and anybody who likes him probably sucks. So. He actually DM'd me a few months ago. Out of nowhere,
he's a king DMer.
It was pretty amazing. He DM'd me out of nowhere to like, because I made some. I think Bondi tweeted out something like, "Oh, like the Knicks maybe could like." It was during the Knicks playoff series, and he was like, he found some tweet of mine like the Knicks. So I think I tweeted at somebody else who was like, "Oh, the Knicks really could have used Porzingis here, couldn't they?" And I was like, the fuck are you talking about? And he was like, he DM'd me to be like, hey, you really think the Knicks couldn't use Porzingis in this series? I was like, no, I really think they could not use. Like, I don't think that was the difference in the series, you dumbass. And then he read one of the things I'd written for the Strickland and was like, he started giving me like pointers on writing advice. It was so weird, man. I just stopped responding because I was like, it was this fucking Saturday. It was like literally.
God.
It's like May, right? That was when the Knicks played in that playoff series. It's like fucking May, and he's tweeting me on a Saturday afternoon about motherfucking Kristaps Porzingis. Like, please get a fucking life, man. Please, like, Just do everybody a flavor and please get a hobby.
Like who looks at Schwinn's Twitter and is like, I'm gonna go like use receipts against this guy? Like obviously, like you're erratic as hell on Twitter.
It's not even receipts. It was like him doing a bit with constructive criticism.
Yeah,
but like
it was so weird.
No one's getting the bit, and it's just like, okay.
Drew, didn't he do that to you? Didn't he do that to you, Drew? Like, I feel like you posted like an image where he was like insulting you for like comparing Frank Ntilikina as being like a cat or something like that. Like that piece, I feel like he was like going on you about that one.
Oh no, I wish he did that because that's probably my what's the magnum opus? That's my magnum opus article. Even though I got something back for it, but no, I did. I don't know. I said something. I was like,
wasn't it the Bondi thing where you outed Bondi on that tweet where he told somebody to wipe their chin or something?
No, that was. No, I could do that too. Because Bonnie was wild. He can't be out here doing homophobic shit. But no, Isola. Like, what was he doing? He said something. It was probably something about Phil Jackson. You know, Phil Jackson. You know, the triangle god to me. The peyote priest and all that shit. So like, he did something. I was just like, dude, shut up. I was something like that. And he's like, and he just slides into my DMs, and I'm like, what are you doing? It's 10 o'clock at night. Like, why are you talking to me? And then he's like, he posted an article. He like did something with like an article I wrote on like Kyle O'Quinn. It's like, no one's gonna read your stuff or something like that. Only Kyle O'Quinn's family is gonna read this stuff. I was like, okay, I don't care.
That's so funny.
Why
do we all I don't know how this turned into this segment, but do we all have an Isola story? I think he was in my DMs from like literally 2016 because I like commented on his article. Like he said that Allen Houston, I'll never forget, he said that Allen Houston was the greatest signing the Knicks ever had. But like I don't understand where that came. Literally it was injured for like 6 of those years. I don't, and he got like the first max contract. I didn't get it, and he literally like was in my DMs like yelling at me, calling me a high school graduate. I literally graduated law school that same year, so it was a really bad signing.
Also, there's nothing wrong with graduating just from high school. Like,
yeah.
What are you doing?
There's nothing good in high school either. You can still have an opinion and watch basketball and know that Allen Houston was a terrible signing. But anyway, that's so far. I don't know how we got on this tangent, but that's so funny. He's lurking, man. Alex.
It all
He's
started
lurking.
from It all started from Luka Vildoza, by the way.
Luka Vildoza, man.
I mean, he did hop in our podcast team. It's like the KP trade and going on about the KP trade. And it's like he's look, man. He's got to be lonely. He's looking for Knicks fans just to love him. Not going to happen. But
he's on Brooklyn now, dude.
I don't think he'll ever find love that he doesn't pay for.
Yeah, definitely.
Schwinn's coming out hot.
Shwin, pass what you're drinking, man.
That's all from
last time it was on Noel. This time it's on Isola. Whenever Schwinn comes on, Knicks, etc. Someone's getting the smoke, man.
Don't push me, Frank.
Look at his crosshairs, dude.
I guess we can go on to
the 50 Cent, don't push me song drop like right when Schwinn says that in the post for your producers. Just get that done.
Right, look, so I'm trying to get a soundboard. Trying to get a soundboard for this thing, man. It's in the progress. All right, in progress. Next time you guys are on here, I'm gonna have a soundboard for this. Let's move on to happier topics. Let's talk about the IQ piece that Berman wrote today. So, Schwinn, I know you said it was like a good article when we were talking before we started recording. What are your initial thoughts on the IQ piece by Berman?
I mean, it was like a fun little piece. It seemed like a lot of it was just kind of like fluff, which is fine. Like it, training camp is training camp. You just got to write a lot of bullshit stuff. But yeah, I mean, like we know that Tibbs loves IQ. Like he played a rookie 18 minutes per game in a rookie season in his rotation. He played every game that he was healthy for. That says plenty. We also know that I buy a lot of the stuff in the piece, about like, he likes being coached hard. He mentioned like he says that, and a lot of guys say that, but like it's it's an act. But like with him, you get the sense like that's real. Like he really does like having a coach like Tibbs that pushes him, that gets in his face. He talked about Calipari's like that guy too, and obviously he played at Kentucky for 2 years. And then also like the thing about that piece that I thought was interesting was he talked about because the segue was kind of like how he got DNP'd the first preseason game last year, and that was what was happening at this time last year or whatever. But he talked about he didn't care that he got DNP'd. Like he went back after that game and like watched the film, and he's like, I was always going to support my teammates because that's what you do, and like everybody says everybody says that shit. Everybody says those things, but like with him, you just feel like the way he comes across and the shit he says and does, like I believe it. Like I really believe that with him, and he just comes across like a genuinely like super exuberant dude. And I said this last year, like when he kind of like first broke through, but I just think that type of energy, like he has an energy that the organization didn't have for a long time. Like it always felt like, look, I don't know if you guys are like huge Melo fans or whatever, but like I just felt with him, especially towards the end, like there was always this kind of like weight of the world is on my shoulders type of energy, and there were reasons for that. I'm not trying to dismiss them, but like,
tough.
yeah, and but like, and that kind of like energy always just seemed to exist around the team. They didn't have like that, and I'm not, and it wasn't just IQ, obviously. Like we just talked about Pinson, but I do think like quickly brings a type of energy and like on the court with his teammates. I don't know. I just think that like it feels fun, like it feels like genuine. It feels like this is really how I am like super pumped. Like, do you remember that? Like, I remember last year, like there was a game where he literally just hugged Julius Randle going into a timeout, and like that shit is like awesome to see. Like it, like like that's like a real emotion. That's like a real. That's how you feel. That's not like a put on thing. Like you see players like Anthony Davis. You remember he hit that crazy game winner that one time over Durant and whoever it was. I forgot, like Ibaka or something.
Yep.
From three. And his reaction after that was like so pure. Like he hadn't been kind of like jaded by the game and like agents and all this kind of shit. And now you hear him talk and he's like this fucking total doofus. Like he's just saying like canned shit all the time. And you're like, who the fuck are you? And I just feel like with IQ, like maybe look, money changes things, like there's a point where he's going to be up for a contract. All these things change. But like right now, he's like, he really is living his dream, and the way he acts and like is and plays and just how he is about everything, like that came through in that piece to me. And like, I buy that. Like I buy that where he is right now, like he really does feel these type of things. And like, that's how he is.
I agree with you on that. And I think that's also like when you listen to Obi's presser last week too, when he's getting asked those questions and he's saying that he's in the gym with Quickly this entire summer. And he's been putting in the work. And then you hear Thibodeau saying that Obi hasn't missed a day. And like, it's been him and Quick just like doing all that work. I agree 100%. Like, I think both of them together, like they have that type of mentality where they're just trying to be part of that change. I always like to joke saying that this team is truly ball is life. Like everyone says, yeah, I love the game. Yeah, I put in work in the offseason. But when you see like Randle, who, you get that Players Tribune piece, and when they go to a new city, he's going to a gym and just getting like his lift in or getting some shots in. And then it started to grow to the other teammates, whether it's IQ, RJ, and so forth. You can feel that energy around this team where they're taking the game so seriously. And I think with IQ, like coming from Kentucky and that mentality where Cal is just like pushing everyone to be their best. And then you have Tom Thibodeau, who's also trying to push everyone to be their best. I think it's just a good gel. And I'm also like, I guess the point is that I buy it too. And I think we saw that just from Summer League a little bit. We saw like the step up, him being a leader, him being able to handle the rock a little bit better, him trying to be a playmaker. Sure, his shot wasn't fully there through Summer League, but it's not, I don't really care. It's just about getting the reps and just getting comfortable and getting ready for the next season. But just from his actions and just from like what you hear, I can get behind it. I don't know. What about you, Drew? What do you feel about it?
Was this in Berman's newsletter that he has now? The paid newsletter?
I don't think it's no. This is a regular. I didn't even know he has a newsletter now.
I didn't even know he had that either.
He has a newsletter.
Oh wow, everyone's getting a newsletter.
It's called the Berman's Bible of basketball.
You're joking, right? Is it actually
the Berman's Bible of basketball? Yeah.
Wow.
I'm coining that right now, though.
Yeah, that should be yours. I'm about to say you should make the Bourbon style of basketball, and that should be yours.
And just do a parody
newsletter.
of
Yes.
100%. Actually, that would be gold. It
Just
just be like
walking
the Dolan Trump, but for Bourbon.
that's such a niche specific like parody that only like 50 people would appreciate.
But they would love it. Those 50 people.
Hey,
You've
man,
seen
real
what
quick.
the Knicks fans can do, man.
That is true. But no, man, like Quickly's great. You just see it. He's awesome. I love him. That's all I got. You guys already said it. I don't need to add anything else.
Let me ask you, do you think he is able to at least get the same amount of minutes now, because he's really sharing with D Rose now? Alfred Payton is not going to come out after 7 minutes. You know what I mean? And Kemba Walker is going to be playing for a while. D Rose is going to get those bench point guard minutes. Like, do you think IQ is going to be able to fit in? I know Shwin was saying, we have like 4 or 5 point guards now, however you want to rank them.
He'll get in. They'll probably go small, right? They'll probably do Rose, IQ, Burks primarily as like a 3-guard bench unit. And he's always going to play when you need shooting. Like, we saw that like last year too. Like, if you need shooting, IQ is getting in. So I think his role is going to be pretty safe. I don't know who's going to, like, none of the rookies are going to overtake him. And I don't think I'm missing another
Also,
guard.
If a rookie does overtake him, then we're in
We're in trouble.
then that's amazing. That means that rookie must be really, really good. Like,
Okay.
holy shit. No, yeah,
or IQ drops off a cliff and it's really bad, where like the default of the rookie playing is simply better. But I don't see that happening anyway. Yeah, so like if Quentin Grimes winds up like outplaying IQ, like Quentin Grimes is probably really good then.
Yeah,
I think,
okay, that's fair.
because like
I
Quickly's
agree
not
with
falling. Like the shooting's not going to go. The passing's not going to go. Like he plays decent defense. Like someone that he was already one of the best impact players the Knicks had last year. So like you saw that. Maybe that was skewed because Alfred Payton was so awful that IQ's like on off stuff went up. But no, I think he's legit.
I'm impressed you're able to watch all the games in prison, Drew. Honestly, it's really impressive.
And I smuggle a lot of cigarettes through here to get the
TV
that
time.
that was part of his. that was actually the one thing he got stipulated into his plea agreement.
yeah, I have to be the cigarette mule.
Yeah, I have to get. You have to let me watch the Knicks games.
Like I have to watch it. Like how am I supposed to do my thing?
And they thought that was torture, and they'd be like, this guy wants more punishment. Like, let him have it, dude. This guy wants to watch.
They're just
these
like, you
games.
can't watch the Celtics. And then I'm like, trust me, man, I don't want to watch the Celtics. And I was like, that's fine. Make me watch the Knicks.
That's actually really funny. I'm curious as to what happens with IQ this year, man. You guys remember in the beginning of last year, he had that insane free throw percentage, and then he hit the wall, kind of dropped off in that aspect. He was unbelievable from 3. I mean, I can't think of which game specifically he saved us from, but I remember he would come in and hit like, it was a couple, he had like 5 threes in, and he like saved those games. Like, we actually would not have been, I mean, because I forgot what do they call it? The 8-to-8 from the 8-minute mark. The last 8 minutes in the second quarter, the first 8 minutes of the third quarter, that's where NBA games are won and lost. And as Knicks fans, we know that's where we always lose our games.
Mm-hmm.
But last year, for some weird reason, it was flipped over. And one of the catalysts was IQ. So I'm hoping that he gets his shot back. Alex kind of mentioned that he had an off summer league, but I think he was doing too much there. He knew he was the best player on the court, so he wasn't really playing NBA ball. I'm just hoping he could develop some sort of mid-range game. I'm not expecting it, right off the bat, but if he could like have some sort of like screen jumper, or because he's either hitting a floater or shooting a 3 from like 75 feet away. So I'm just like, there needs to be a middle ground here, just like at some point. I don't really expect it now, but I'm just hoping it slowly develops, at least, just like see some glimmers of it.
And he's mentioned that. He mentioned that was something that he wanted to work on specifically in the offseason, was the mid-range. We saw a little bit in summer league, not a ton, but like he did take a couple. It's also like he's got to get out of that. He's probably been taking that floater for fucking years, like who knows?
And he always makes it. So it's like,
it's muscle memory. It's muscle memory, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's just his natural inclination to just oh, I have the floater, I'll take it. I agree. He needs to develop mid range. I also think he needs to be more like he gets into the paint and immediately it's like he gets into the paint pretty easily, but then as soon as he hits the paint, he wants to pick up his dribble and either shoot the floater or kick it out to somebody or whatever. And I actually think he needs to keep his dribble more, and that will actually let him get to the rim. Because he needs to convert some of these shots just into shots at the rim. And there's no reason he can't, because again, he gets into the paint pretty easily. I think that's something that we've seen consistently. I think what'll help him a ton is just being more being stronger with his offhand when he's handling. When he gets to his left, he almost exclusively wants to get into a floater immediately. I think he needs to be comfortable handling. And look, there's traffic down there. It's obviously not easy, but if you want to be a point guard, you got to be able to do that shit. I think he has to develop that and just be more comfortable. In general, once you're in the paint, be comfortable being able to handle the ball, being more patient. You don't need to you don't need to go north south immediately, right? Pin the guy on your ass and fucking keep a dribble there to hold him off, and then you go the Chris Paul thing, right? He does that all the time.
I was literally just thinking that he does have that Chris Paul dribble where he gets that guy behind him.
Yeah, and the thing is, he does that now, but he does that to draw that bullshit ass Trae Young foul, right? That he's not going to be able to do that this year, by the way.
Right.
So that's something
Thank
that he needs to, yeah. I'm happy about that.
I know. He was never getting it. He was too much of a rookie. He was never getting. He was trying. They're nah.
Yeah. And so that's something that he needs to develop. That you can do more there than just try to draw a foul. So anyway, I'm pretty excited for him. I think he's going to be. I mean, look, if you're good as a rookie, the odds are you're going to be good for your NBA career.
Yeah, and I mean, he wasn't starting, but he got substantial minutes as a rookie under Tom Thibodeau, who's known for not playing rookie. So that one should say something you could say, hey, who else did we have to replace him on the bench? But still, he was still getting substantial minutes. He was coming in crunch time in the fourth quarter because he needed his shot creation from behind the arc.
He was taking tactical free throws as a rookie.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was 96, no, he got 92. Did he max out 96 at some point? I think it was 92% when that hit the national media, and then it just fell off a cliff.
Yeah, because you know how the national media just likes to jinx everything, anything and everything. So that happens on a day-to-day basis. But no, quickly, I'm excited for quickly. I agree with everything everyone said about the mid-range. I think for him, his confidence is not going to waver. I think for him, what Shwin pointed out, I like the keeping the dribble alive, because he can also just curl and just bring it back out and just reset or do something, or just look for someone else on the wing, and just instead of just stopping dead center in the paint and then everyone just collapsing on you, and then you're just landlocked in the middle with not being able to find an outlet pass. So I would like to see that too from quickly. I'm excited to see what he's going to bring. I think he's going to take a step forward. I don't want to say an RJ leap last season, like how RJ was shooting, but I think he's going to take a step forward that we're going to be impressed with this season. And the way Tibbs talks about him, how he was coaching him after the fact that he's even there at preseason games and talking to him after every single not preseason, but summer league game, just saying, hey, this is what you can be doing. This is what you should be doing. Tibbs saying, hey, yeah, he could be a point guard. Most point guards are score first point guards in this league today. I think there is kind of big plans for quickly. I just want to see what this year, how it unfolds for him this season. I'm really intrigued about that.
Yeah, I agree with you. And that was a summer league, and we're in preseason. And I know that the preseason is nonsense, but it's a step above the summer league nonsense, right? So at least we have, some sort of basketball. And I'm curious as to if you think there's anything to learn about the Knicks from this preseason, but specifically I have a pretty targeted question, and it's regarding which I think is our most important piece this year, and that's Mitch Robinson. Mitch Robinson has an
Kevin Knox.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, he's always our most important piece.
Kevin Knox needs to take over Theo Pinson's role if he wants a role on this team. I'll say that.
I don't
coming with the heat today.
I don't know. I don't know if Kevin Knox is high energy enough for that.
He needs to do some cocaine then.
Honestly, he needs to hit you up for PR. That's a great move. You can't get on the lineup, dude. Just hang out and be Theo Pinson. You were given the avenue. You saw how to do it. Just do that.
I just can't forget that. I can't forget that one from the Knicks Knicks account where he's just like stone cold, like not excited from like a big play. It's just like, I'm like, dude, you just won a game. Big shot just happened. Can you just like show some sort of emotion, something, a little
What's his
bit?
Nickname? What's the Knicks nickname? To me, he always looks like
Young
Gum Gum Wan Dum Dum from Night at the Museum. I don't know.
I haven't watched that movie in so long.
That's what he always looks like to me. I can never get that. I don't know what that guy's name is. I know it's like a famous like thing. I can never get that out of my head. But I know the Knicks have a nickname for him. Do you guys know what it is?
Yeah,
They call him something fun. Yeah.
There's one
Too
way to
much-
find out.
too much Fortnite.
Are we going to a basketball reference? with
Yes,
all the
we
wrong-
are.
So
No stated nicknames for Kevin Knox, sadly.
Can we
They
talk
have-
about
they-
how?
they
Can
have
we
a
talk
weird
about how
nickname for
Julius
him.
Randle's nickname on Basketball Reference is Beyblade? I found that so freaking hilarious. What is that?
But you were saying something about Mitchell Robinson. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
the
you're
Kevin
good. No,
Knox
you're good. You're good.
joke.
You're good. I personally think one of our most important pieces, well, definitely our most important decision we have to make before the season begins is that Mitch extension. And I think that Mitch, whether or not he plays, is going to make a big difference on our team. I don't know if we can go through the season with a hobbled Noel and, that Taj playing all these minutes like we did last year. I don't think that's going to work. It's not going to fly. So I'm wondering if you guys think that Mitch, there are already pieces coming out today saying the Knicks are going to take it easy. They don't want him to re-injure the foot. So I'm wondering if you guys think, number one, anything's going to change for the Knicks, in this preseason, or we're just kind of just watching them get ready for ball. And two, specifically, do you think Mitch Robinson could make or break his extension within the next 2 weeks?
So I think that as far as Mitch is, just so you know, he can actually extend at any time because the way
I thought the deadline was
it's because he's
beginning
a
of the
second
season.
round pick, so he can extend even in the
Oh,
season.
okay.
But
Okay,
but yeah,
okay.
no, I don't think anything big is gonna happen in preseason. To be honest, I just feel like it doesn't really make sense for them to offer him an extension, and it doesn't make sense for him to sign an extension, right? Like it doesn't make sense for him to do those things because, he broke his metatarsal, his fifth metatarsal or whatever. That's like a pretty serious injury. You want to see how he recovers. You want to see how he looks after he comes back from the injury. I think it makes sense to hold off before you give an extension. From his point of view, also, maybe the extension they even would be comfortable offering at this point isn't one that he thinks is enough. And also, hey, look, we know this. Free agency sucks nowadays. So he might think, hey, I'm better off waiting. And even if I want to stay with the Knicks and they want to keep me, I'm better off waiting because I'll get more dollars if I hit the free agent market next offseason. Because there's so much money out there, but there's not a lot of guys to use it on. I might end up being one of the premier free agents on the market. So I think it's kind of like a mutual thing. Maybe that's just I'm being a total homer and hoping for the best case scenario. Probably an element of that, but I genuinely look, I will say this is a hot take I have, and this is something that I thought, I don't know if you guys saw the Berman piece a week ago about how, Tibbs made a really big push to keep Reggie Bullock, but the front office obviously went a different direction. I get the sense that Tibbs really, really likes Mitch, and wants to keep him. He wants him in New York. He wants him as a center. He's happy to have him as a center. The way he talks about him now is completely different from the way he talked about him at the start of last season during training camp. He basically gushes about Mitch now every time he talks about him. I don't know if you guys saw what he said the other day about defensive rating and fucking whatever other shit he said. But he talked about how much growth Mitch has made, how he was playing so great before he got hurt. I think he really wants to keep Mitch. I think if there is a hesitation, it's coming more from the front office, which I don't think that necessarily means that they're out on Mitch or that they don't see his value. I think it's more of look, we know how they've operated. Everything is about certain values and, is it a good contract? Do we want to extend this guy? Is there a better option out there? I think they're weighing a lot of different things. Whereas for Tibbs, it's hey, look, I like this guy. I think he's an elite rim protector. I think he fits with what I want to do. Let's just fucking keep him. And I think for that front office, they're weighing different things. Like we know that there's been that Miles Turner smoke that's been out there. There's been smoke with a lot of shit. So, and look, let's be realistic. Let's not kid ourselves. Karl Anthony Towns exists. He was a Leon Rose client. He will have 2 years left on his contract after this season. Minnesota has not been great. I actually think they're going to have a pretty good season this year, but they might not. Obviously, it's fucking Minnesota. They don't have a good season. So, like, let's be realistic. Like, that's obviously going to be something they consider. Like, if it's an opportunity, they're going to consider it. That's the one thing we can say about this front office, that they will, check everything out. They will make sure they follow all of the options that are out there and do their due diligence. So I don't think Mitch is on the move anytime soon, but if you told me that he got traded before the deadline, it wouldn't shock me. I personally would not. I think they should keep him. I think he's, even if you want to ultimately upgrade at that position, I think he's more useful as somebody you sign, pay money to, and then use as a contract or a chip and trade than to deal him now when he's going to be like, how is he valuable now, right? Like, you're trading for him. He's about to hit unrestricted free agency in, 5 fucking months. So, like, that doesn't really make sense to me. I think they're better off keeping him. And I do think they will end up keeping him, at least for the time being.
I'm a little worried about him. He's big with his size 13 feet. He's like 7'1". What's he now? He beefed up. He went on like that Andrew Bynum diet. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I'm a little worried.
I don't think he got fat like Andrew Bynum, though.
I don't know, man. His face got a little rotund.
Oh, hot take.
I don't know, man. He looks like pretty ripped to me.
Do you think, like, what are you concerned? Like the weight onto his foot? Do you think he's just not going to play the same?
He has like baby feet. We have like the same size foot, and he's like a good foot taller than I am. So, and he put on, whether you want to say it's obviously more muscle than anything else. I'm just messing with him, but like that's still a lot of weight to put on, little baby feet like that. So, like, I'm a little concerned because he broke his foot and now he's heavier.
Well, first of all, I'm offended because I'm a size 12. So if he's baby feet at 13, what are we talking about?
Well, he's on saying for 7'1". For 7'1".
Yeah, for 7'1".
I know. I feel you.
Man, come on.
I feel you. I mean,
that's actually very interesting. I'm sorry. Size 13 for 7'1". That is weird. That is pretty strange. Not gonna lie.
that was a nice humble brag, Drew. By the way. I see what you're getting at.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You know why I'm here. That's actually funny. And I mean, they are worried about how it's an injury that's very likely to reoccur.
Well, I think that's what they're being cautious with it, and that's why I'm not that concerned about his weight or anything, because I'm assuming that the weight gain was done with like an understanding from the Knicks medical staff, like, this is fine, this is okay, you can deal with this. They might be wrong, who knows? Like, science is fucking weird, right? Like, we don't know. Just ask Kyrie Irving, he'll tell you.
Yeah, he'll tell you science can be wrong sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. He knows more than scientists. But
the Earth is still flat, guys. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. But like, he's talked about this. This has been reported that he has been in contact with the Knicks training staff, coaching staff throughout his time rehabbing in New Orleans or, in New York, whatever. So I'm assuming the weight gain isn't like, I know there are people really worried about it. I'm not that worried about it. I just think that like, that's something that they have decided. They've made a calculated choice. Like, this is okay. He can do this. We're going to accept that. And that's what we think is best for him. I just like really, I don't know. Like, I just think people need something to be worried about. And so this is the thing, like Mitch's health. And I'm just not really that worried about it. Like, it's a serious injury. I'm not trying to downplay it, but like, Brook Lopez had this injury. Kevin Durant had this injury. Those guys have gone on to, correct me if I'm wrong. I think Kevin Durant's been a pretty good player.
Dude, Kevin Durant is an absolute enigma. Like, he really made me shut up because of how well he came off of the Achilles, bro. Like, nobody in the history of sports has came off an Achilles like Kevin Durant. So it's hard for me to like compare anybody to him.
Yeah, and I mean, it was amazing how they won the champion. Oh no, they didn't. That's funny.
Yeah. I just can't hate on KD.
They were good in the Eastern Conference Finals too.
KD. So I am here for that. But
Yeah, I
like,
like that trade.
yeah, no, I mean, look, obviously KD's come back from that injury and been awesome. And then that was it. That was before the Achilles. I'm saying, obviously, he came back and was an amazing player. Brooke Lopez has had that injury and has gone on to have better seasons since then. You know, like become a better player,
Better shooter somehow.
better shooter, better defender. He's been a better defender. Like,
Yeah.
and he's a lot bigger than Mitch. Like, he is a big dude, right? Brooke is thick. Like, I just there's examples of these guys like. Joel Embiid had a serious foot injury. He had that navicular bone injury or whatever, that was just like even more serious than this fifth metatarsal.
Yeah.
And he's come back and he's been Joel Embiid. He's been awesome. Yeah, his health hasn't been great. He misses like 15, 20 games this season. But like if you're playing at a high level, if a team knows that you're going to give them 60, 65 games a season of high level NBA play, they're going to deal with that. And like that's fine. As long as they know that if they manage it right and you'll be ready for the playoffs, that's not a big deal to me. And like if that is their determination with Mitch is like maybe he's going to end up having to be managed carefully and he'll miss like 15 to 20 games a season, but we think we can manage it and he'll be fine at the playoffs. Like, who cares? That's fine to me. I just think like we've seen so many guys come back from serious injuries in the last few years that this Mitch one, to me, it feels like we don't have anything to be concerned about because the Knicks are weirdly actually in a pretty good position right now. So let's freak out about an injury that really none of us knows jack shit about.
Mm-hmm. No, you hit the nail on the head, and that's why you should not listen to me being concerned because I'm not a doctor. So if the Knicks medical staff or medical professionals think it's good, you should listen to them and definitely not me. But yeah, no, I'm just looking for something to be concerned about. Like, what am I?
Shout out Dr. Lisa Callahan.
Yeah, I get that reference.
That's her. She's the Knicks medical.
Oh, is it? It wasn't like it wasn't like a different reference to like a different sport.
I was like some random dog.
No, she's the Knicks and Rangers. I think she does it for both teams.
Okay. Yeah, listen to her.
I'm excited to see when Mitch comes back because he left at like such a good spot against like the Washington Wizards game when he got hurt. Like he was dominating that game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like he was really getting his foul woes under control. He was starting to like box out, do center things that you want him to do. He's good. He's like our best offensive rebounder. He's just, I think, our best center who's good at rebounding. Like Nerlens Noel is just not that. And I think, you know, for Mitch, like this is just the year, man. This is just the year. Like he changes our team dramatically. Like if he takes that step forward, if he becomes that center that we all just like can see him become, this team is seriously going places. I you know, Alan Hahn said it when he was on Knicks Fan TV. Like if you have Mitch in there, the series between the Hawks is just vastly different than what we saw with Noel out there.
Dude,
and
it would have
like,
been
I
so
agree with
different.
that 100%. And I think he's a monster to be reckoned with once he's like, once he can say like, once we get like his health under control and once he like truly gets all like the technical stuff of being a center down. I'm excited for Mitch. I want him to come back. Unfortunately, we're not going to get to see him like, I guess during the preseason. I don't know when he's going to come back. You guys got any predictions for like when he comes back? Anyone?
November 13th.
I think like
okay.
I'll say like 2 weeks to a month into the season.
Okay.
Oh wow. Is he not? Did they already? Did I miss the fact that they said he's not going to be ready by opening day?
They didn't say that. I just think like the way they're handling it, it feels like they feel pretty comfortable that Noel and Taj can hold the fort for the regular season for that period of time. I agree with them.
Just
on
sneak
that.
him in.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they don't need to rush Mitch. I think they're better off being cautious with Mitch than kind of like forcing the issue.
Yeah.
You
They
think
should
he
start
gets
Taj. There's my hot take. I would start Taj over Noel.
why? I want to hear this one.
They
Why,
should start
Taj?
Jericho Sims.
Yeah.
The preseason, I'd be down actually.
He was awesome. He was awesome.
I like Jacob.
Yeah.
Drew, why do you want to start Taj over Noel?
I think Taj is just better than Noel.
Wow.
Okay.
All right. Tell us why. Okay. Do you hate Noel or do you love
No,
Taj?
I don't
Like,
actually-
where's this coming from?
Is
No,
it
no,
the
I'm saying,
minus
like-
21 from when we recorded Schwinn last season where
yeah.
Noel was a minus 21 against the Nuggets?
No, I don't hate Noel. It's just I probably Taj can't do that anymore because he's old. But like I just like his old man game. I like that he's not really a rim protector, but he always is in like the right spot defensively. Like he's never missed a rotation in his entire career as an NBA player. I just like the way I like when he posts up people. It's more of an aesthetic thing. It's like a vibe thing.
I think he's a better offensive player by a lot.
Yeah, he is a better offensive
absolutely.
player. So
Right.
like, I don't know. It's just there's something about Taj. You probably can't he can't play him that long, but I don't know. I feel like he would probably serve better than Noel, but I get why you want Noel in the starting lineup with this team because you theoretically want, a rim runner who can, dunk the ball. Like I get it why you would do it.
I mean,
just, I would
quite frankly, they paid one guy 2 years, 18 million essentially guaranteed. That's what Noel's contract is. I know.
Yeah, and he's
the headline figure is 332. It's 218 with the team.
Yeah, and he's a high end backup who is very good defensively, strangely enough, even though he just like gambles and everything, and he does his own thing.
Like people he's like everybody else plays the scheme, and Noel is just like doing his thing.
Right. They're just like, Noel, do your thing, and it works. And he's kind of hard to explain to like people. Like I think we probably all played with someone like that in any sort of sport where you're just like, you're just gonna do your thing. Like, didn't the Steelers do that with Troy Polamalu? There's a football reference for you. They're just like, Troy, go.
Yeah, because he would just randomly come up to the line and just like jump over 5 linemen and like
exactly. It's just like that's what he did. It's like that's what Noel is on defense. So it's just like Noel do whatever, but yeah, he's just not a threat offensively, and Taj is much more of that. So I kind of like that balance. I would sacrifice the early game defense for just a more balanced offense. That's
you were watching Taj in the gym, that video that was posted with his footwork, that fast footwork that he had going.
Tony, man, Taj is the best.
I love Taj. The only thing that would scare me from that, because I agree with you, is really my IQ argument from last year when everyone is freaking out, wants to put IQ in the starting lineup. Or I kind of think that messes everything up. If you take IQ out of the starting lineup, it messes up his mojo. He can't just go in there and do whatever he wants. You know what I mean? He can't just come in there and fire threes because he's in the starting lineup. He has to give the ball to Randle. He has to give the ball to RJ. And that's where I kind of think Taj in that second lineup, like I would rather Taj close off a game than start in a game. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't want Noel in the end of a game. God, like that scares me. Like if he gets to the free throw line, that scares me. If he has to dribble the ball, that scares me. If basically has to do anything except for tip the ball in, I'm terrified.
Not even very good at tipping the ball. He's like,
I'm about to say, tipping the ball is like those hands, man. Those are legit bricks.
Yeah,
like,
but the one big difference between the comp of like the one big difference is Noel is good and Elfrid Payton is not. So you're taking out a bad player and you're putting in a good player. So therefore your team's going to be good. Like, we're just basically arguing, like, do we put the 6 in like the 6 versus the 6 and 2/5 or something. We're not arguing. We're arguing marginal differences between Noel and Gibson, basically based on style of play. But like Payton still is awful. Quickly is good, so therefore you don't play bad players. But Knicks insisted on playing bad players until game 2 of a playoff series.
It's like game 2, man. It's like game 2. It took putting Frank in
to be like, we should not play Elfrid Payton. And it's like, well, at least they came to it.
Took them long enough. It definitely took them long enough to get to that conclusion. But look, man, that was last season. This is this season. So there's a lot to look forward to. So what do you guys like? What are your expectations for this season? We had the 41 win season. We were the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference last year. New season, new expectations. Expectations have risen. We were on this trajectory of being a rebuild team. We've kind of accelerated that by hosting a playoff series. So what are you guys' expectations for this season, just in general? I'll start off with you, Drew.
If healthy, I've been very optimistic about this entire team in the offseason. If healthy, I don't really see a reason why they can't win 50 games. And I guess that's technically outrageous because their over-under was set at like 41. But like,
come join me, baby. 50 burger. I want that 50 burger so bad.
They're not going to be a 500 team. They'll probably be closer to like 47, 48, but like I just see a whole lot of balance and depth in the regular season, and just not just coaching from like Tibbs, just kind of like elite coaching period on this. Right? Like all the coaches hold everyone accountable. Everyone seems motivated. Like Kemba has a reason to bounce back. Julius Randle has something to prove. RJ Barrett still has something. Like everyone has like things to prove still. It's just I don't see how this team can't be a 50-win team. But I guess that's technically a hot take, but it may come off as homerish. But like if healthy, I don't see it. This is just fundamentally a better team than last year. Like significantly upgraded between. It's not that like the upgrade from Kemba to Peyton, like the Peyton to Kemba upgrade is so significant. Like I think people don't really fully grasp it. Even like not healthy Kemba Walker is significantly better, and Evan Fournier's play style and his strengths work a lot better for what this team needs versus Bullock. And the defensive drop off, I don't think is as drastic as what people are thinking. Like Bullock was a good defender. He wasn't.
When was Bullock? Was Bullock? What did anybody think Bullock was a lockdown defender before last year?
It became that narrative when he left. Right?
That's kind of my point. Is like I just don't understand this idea of Reggie. Reggie Bullock isn't a fucking game-changing defender.
No, he's not. He's just
he literally got embarrassed.
Defender.
He embarrassed himself against Atlanta in the first round.
He did.
Literally
really
embarrassed
bad.
himself. Like tried to get into Trae Young's head and looked like an absolute buffoon doing it. Was garbage offensively. Like got completely exposed.
Terrible.
Somebody who can't do anything other than hit, catch and shoot threes. Which like kudos to him. He was really good at it.
And it's going to work in Dallas because
it'll be great.
Create anything. He's probably going to have a great year again. But like this team, this team is healthy. Like Kemba and Fournier, like, and then they have 4 players who can pass the ball now in the starting lineup. You have 4 players who can move, pass the ball. As I always like to do a barometer, like how many positions of the triangle can you play? Like outside of Mitch, everyone can play at minimum 3 different positions. So it's like everyone can move off the ball, everyone can move on the ball. It's just I don't see how this team couldn't, like 50 wins should be reasonable, I think, but I don't know where you guys stand. I'll let you guys go at it.
I guess I'm gonna like ask you, Drew. Like, do you think like because like the East got better, whatever your opinions may be on Miami, on like you still got the Bucks, you got the Nets in this conference. Atlanta is still a really good team because they still have everyone from last season. Like 50 wins is a lot. Are you having them as like a 4 seed again, or like?
Well,
I guess
the Nets probably aren't going to have Kyrie for 41 games because he doesn't believe in science. So like that's still a possibility, right? And then also like James Harden is still fat, so there's a lot of pressure. On
James
Kevin
Harden
Durant's.
Nets has been unreal, dude. I'll pause you on the James Harden slander.
Yeah, unreal because he literally like busts out of his Nets jersey. Like he's just fat.
Can I just say, like, I don't really understand this whole thing about like, oh my God, he was injured in the Bucks series. So like, what can we like? Guys play through injuries. Like that's kind of just like the nature of high-end professional sports. He was on the court. He had like 28 and 9 or something in that game. Like, what if he just shot like shit because that's what James
bad shooting
big games. Like I just kind of feel like this entire thing of like, oh my God, the Nets, like it was like this it's honestly the most like heroic loss I've ever seen portrayed for a heavy favorite, for a team that was up 2-0, for a team that was up 2-0 in the series, for a team that was up 3-2 in the series, for a team that had game 7 on their home court in the series. Like I just don't understand this like lionization of losing that's happening with this fucking team of that series. And I'm not even really like trying to slander them. Like it's just like when you fail, you fucking failed. Like I'm not sitting here saying the Knicks were like, we should all like fucking celebrate because the Knicks lost in the first round, but like they fought valiantly or something. Like, like who cares? Like they lost the first round, they got their shit rocked. And that's why they made the changes they needed to the roster this offseason. Like I don't know. The entire Nets thing is so weird to me. It's like they're a contender. Like what other contender loses in motherfucking game 7 of round 2 at home and gets praised? Like how many times have we had to hear like why is Kevin Durant the best player in the world right now? I'm sorry. Like I genuinely don't know, because last time I checked, he lost in game 7 at home on his home court to the guy who ended up winning the NBA championship with a fucking 50 piece in game 6 in the closeout game, has won two straight MVPs, one defensive player of the year. Like, what are we doing here? Like, what are we talking about here? Then, like, we don't, like, they're a contender. Treat them like a contender. When they lose, you can criticize them for losing, because guess what? That's like, they're built to win a championship. They were the heavy favorite. They were the favorite in that game, by the way. They were the favorite in that game. They were the betting favorite in that game going into it, even with the injuries they had. So this whole like heroic narrative about, oh my God, like Kevin Durant was an inch away from it. Guess what? He wasn't, though. He didn't do it. His fucking dumbass foot was on that line. And I'm sorry, like, that's the reality of it. Like, and so what? Like, so what that he was an inch away from that? There's inches in all of sports that, like, oh my God, what if the Bucks had made one more free throw in that game? Like, it's bullshit. This entire thing of the Nets is bullshit. They get treated like a fucking small market team that is like, you know, they get treated like they're the Tampa Bay Rays. Like, oh my God, Rays, how can they compete? How can they compete? It's like, well, they have 3 superstars and their payroll is like 700 bajillion times more than any other team in the NBA. Like, that's probably why they can compete. This is not some underdog success story anymore. Okay. Like, you signed Kevin Durant, you signed Kyrie Irving, you mortgaged your fucking soul to get the fat shit out of Houston. Like, you don't get to act like the small market plucky underdog that is overcoming all the odds. Give me a fucking break with that shit.
Preach, man.
Yeah, so
Preach.
There's then there's also the Sixers situation. You know?
Oh yeah,
I just let that go. I love that. Nothing to
so
add.
Like,
that's what the Sixers.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So like, there's Ben Simmons like not wanting to play. So it's like, all right, so they're going into a season not in balance with themselves, right? So like, that's not a good look. The Heat did get better, but I am purposely have decided I need to start slandering my beloved Kyle Lowry for joining
agenda purposes.
So like, if you look at a lot of Kyle Lowry's advanced metrics, especially the on-off stuff, he had terrible on-off stuff for Toronto last season. Like, so for agenda purposes, Kyle Lowry is officially fat and washed. So I'm not worried about the Heat at all, because like, what, Victor Oladipo is going to magically be good again, and like Tyler Hero sucks, and it's just Jimmy and Bam, and it's like, good job, and Duncan Robinson's going to do whatever. And like, am I missing anyone else? Like, I don't
That's
see
a squad
like,
in my head. No, I think you got the whole.
I love the whatever with Duncan.
Like, whatever he does, like, I don't care. It's like, who else should I be afraid of in the East? Just the Bucks, basically, because they actually have the best player in the world, and then
you don't care about the
really
Hawks.
It's just like, the Hawks, man, John Collins fucking sucks. I don't care about him.
Okay. I do think that he actually is the one player that I'm happy he got his bag, because he's the type of player that he's like, he could kind of relax once he.
Oh yeah, he got the bag. He's good. He's
no, he's set.
He's gonna be traded, because Trae Young's gonna be like, get this guy out of here. Like, I want to win. Just one thing, and I hate Trae. Schwinn knows I hate Trae Young. Trae Young. This is more James Harden slander. It took Trae Young one basketball game to realize, oh, in the playoffs, the officials are not going to call my bullshit. I'm going to adjust my game and play to that. And he did that, and he did that masterfully. James Harden's still being fat, trying to get foul calls in the playoffs, and it doesn't work. So it's like, Trae Young's better than James Harden. So yeah, fuck James Harden.
I do think that them not doing the fouls this year, not letting you draw a foul when you're shooting, is going to really hurt Trae Young and James Harden. I thought that's where you were going with that. They're going to diminish.
It's going to hurt James Harden more than Trae Young, because Trae Young actually has a basketball brain, and realize you can, I can do things without drawing fouls. So like, he's kind of unlocked that. So I think Trae Young actually took like a huge step in the playoffs. So the Hawks are definitely scary because of him, and they do a really good job of hiding him on defense. So like, now that they got an actual coach to like coach that team, so how they would basically just like switch him off, whatever, right? Like, they would do the switch, and then they would just run him back to a different player, and it works because they have like 4 other guys who are all the same size. So like, they kind of found a way to hide Young, and it's going to be up for the rest of the East to figure out, how do we exploit that. The Knicks kind of figure that out by saying, we're just going to have 4 guys who can dribble the ball, and you have to hide Trae Young and then like the center, which isn't going to work. So
Well, they
we'll
won't
see.
even do that, right? Like they just won't do it.
Yeah, no, they're not saying they're not going to do it that way. There's going to be something different, but like that's how you have to approach like the Hawks specifically. They're kind of the team to worry about. The Bucks, you can't stop the Bucks. So yeah, it's just like those two teams are like the scary ones. The Celtics, I don't care about them. So.
I don't even believe the Celtics. I mean, they have no playmaker. Like, who's their best playmaker? Who? Dennis Schroeder? Jason Tatum?
Well, Tatum,
He's not even really a playmaker. Like everyone on the team does minimal playmaking.
Peyton Pritchard is probably better than Dennis Schroeder at that. So that'll be interesting to see how that dynamic works because he should be playing more minutes than Dennis Schroeder. But
he should be probably, but he's probably not going to. I don't care about that team. That team is just.
I think Dennis Schroeder is fine. I think he's fine. He's making $5 million this year. He's an NBA rotation player.
No, for that contract, he is fine. I mean.
He's also good with Smart. That's a good squad. Like those
I think they're going to be good. Like I genuinely, I love crapping on the Celtics as much as anybody, but like, I genuinely think they're going to be fine this year. Like they had, like if we're going to
be a fine team, but I just don't think that they're going to be this team. Like everyone has them better than the Knicks right now to be ranked higher than the Knicks. I don't see that. I think they'll be a 6-7 seed type of team. I don't think they're like completely out of the playoffs. I just don't think they have enough playmaking. Like they have 2 all-stars that alone will carry them, but I don't see them being creative enough. Like you can just watch them the entire last season. It was just, all right, let Tatum do something. All right, let Brown do something. Someone's going to do something. And then it was just not enough passing.
So some of that, like, I agree. I do think some of that, a lot of that, or not some of that, a big part of that, I think is coaching. Like, I think Stevens was good for their development phase as players, but now they have more like rounded skill sets. Like, and they have expectations, obviously, as a team. Like, I think they need a coach who is going to tell Tatum, like, stop taking 25 mid-range jumpers for no reason during a game. You're 6'10". You have amazing handle. You have elite athleticism. Get to the rim. Like, stop settling for bullshit. And I think that was a big reason why that move was made. That I think Stevens probably had an idea of that, and he was happy to move to the front office. I think Udoka is. Look, we don't know what he is. I'm just taking a guess here. From what I've read about him, he seems like more of a guy who will challenge you.
Don't play with house money.
Yeah, and I don't think Stevens was a guy that challenged them. I think he was a guy who like encouraged them, like feel free to take shots. Like I'm not even saying that actually as an insult.
That
like,
actually does sound like
no. It's just funny to think about it because I think it's like all right, we're going from kindergarten who's like try this new thing. Now you're going to like your 5th grade teacher like no. You gotta do this fucking problem, right? You gotta learn your times tables. You gotta learn division. Come on, now.
Yeah,
Let's
like they need to have somebody like fucking ride their ass, right? Like you need to have like I think I probably tweeted this out last year, but like I thought like genuinely I like looked at that team and I was like they probably could use Tibbs because Tibbs would be like you don't take mid-range jumpers anymore. You go to the rim and you take corner threes like 700 times a game. That's all you're going to do. But like they just need that. Like you have Marcus Smart out here in game 6 of an elimination series against elimination game against Miami in the Eastern Conference Finals. He took more shots than Kemba Walker. That's coaching. I'm sorry. That's coaching. Like there's no way that should ever happen. I don't care if you want to say Kemba should take the reins or, no, like it doesn't matter. No, that Marcus Smart cannot take that many shots in a game. Like he cannot be your second or third option. That's insane. But like, yeah, I think they had a lot of like, if we're gonna be real, they got hit by COVID harder than most teams last year. They had a shit ton of games missed from it. Tatum talked on the record about like how hard it was for him to come back from COVID. Like during the season, it was hard for him. Like, because it took a while, right? Like it took like a month for him to really get his lungs back and everything.
Yeah, he needed an inhaler.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So like he was really dealing with shit. If you look at how he closed the season, he was a monster. Like he was killing it. He had a 50-point game in the playoffs, didn't he? So like I think like that leap to like potential top 10, top 5 guy, like I really am like in on Tatum, which is gross for me to say. I really say
yeah,
it.
me too.
But
I'm all the way in on Tatum.
Yeah, like I really think like he's gonna be a monster this year. I'm like probably not as high on Jaylen Brown as other people. Like he's really good, obviously. I'm not denying that, but like I don't see him getting to like a higher level. Like I think the level he's at, which is really good, is what he is, and that's fine. Like that's enough, obviously, for them to be good. I think Schroeder just being healthy and playing games, like why is Kemba a big deal for us? Because he's replacing Alfred Payne. So even if he doesn't play that many games, it's a massive improvement for them. Having Schroeder, who's like much better than Alfred Payne, is like for all of his flaws, he's an NBA caliber rotation player, right? I think we can all at least agree on that with Schroeder. Like he's effectively going to be, he's a healthier player than Kemba. Like that's production you can count on. And whatever his flaws are, like that still helps you win regular season games. For the, and like, honestly, as long as Robert Williams is healthy, which is a big swing factor, by the way, like he is not, like he literally has played less minutes in 3 years than Mitch did as a rookie, I think, or something crazy like that.
Wow.
Like, he has not played a lot.
So that's
So
been under the radar, if that's a fact.
Yeah, he's been very injury prone. I also don't think he's as effective as a lot of people do. I think he's very toolsy and highlight really type of player, but like
he's also not as big as like he gets all like the benefit of like the rim running center, but he's only like 6'9".
Yeah, he's like 6'10". I think he's 6'10", but whatever. Yeah, he's not on the bigger side. But yeah, like I genuinely just think like if you told me he's gonna play 70 games this year, I have Boston in the same tier as the Knicks. Like I think there's 6 teams in that tier, and I'm probably like I think Atlanta, Miami, the Knicks, Boston, Pacers, and I'm forgetting a team.
I'm with you there.
Not,
I think the Knicks and the Pacers,
not the Hawks,
and
or not
Hawks.
the Bulls, by the way. Yeah.
No, those three, Knicks, Pacers, Hawks, I feel like are we're really all in the same tier. We're going to be fighting for that 4, 5, 6, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then maybe Boston after. I agree with you. The Bulls, they literally have no defense. and now they already starting to have some injuries.
Yeah, Patrick Williams is out for the month, right? So
no,
he's not going to
bench. And what bench?
No
do they have?
bench. They're tough. They'd be really fun to watch, though. Definitely a league pass team, but just take the over. That's why I'm gonna watch them on league pass.
I'm gonna pass on watching the Bulls.
I'm taking their opponents over like every game.
You're not interested in Lonzo?
No,
Lonzo? No.
I don't even to me, this is like, do you remember when we traded for Rose, we signed Noah, we signed Courtney Lee, like, and we signed Jennings, and we were like, man, like this is gonna be fun. Like this will be fun. This is what it feels like. That is what this feels like. It feels like you're talking yourself into something being fun because they're gonna suck on defense. So it's like they're gonna be fun. And like for us, I agree with you. For the neutral, it will be fun. I think it'll be a fun watch. But if I'm a Bulls fan, like I'm not. I honestly find some of the Bulls fan, I feel like they're just down so bad that they're like talking themselves into what they did is like a good plan. And I'm like, you gave up a fucking first round pick for DeMar DeRozan and paid him 3 years, $85 million. Like, why is that a good plan? How is that a good plan? I don't know. Like
They also give up first rounders for Vooch, which I'm like,
and he's like, I
love Vooch as much as anyone.
I love Vooch. I love like he's like such a fun player, but it's like, dude, your plan is to be like all in on DeRozan and Vooch.
It sounds
and
gross.
Levine, and like I don't know. I don't see the vision. I don't see it. I think if they just stopped with
Caruso,
if they had just stopped Caruso and Lonzo, I'd have been like, yeah, good offseason, solid. I get it. I wouldn't have loved the Vooch move, but I've been like, okay, well, like Vooch sucks on defense. Levine sucks on defense. So you got a couple good perimeter defenders, and that makes sense. But now, like, you're going to have to close games with one. Like you're gonna play DeRozan, you're gonna play Levine for sure when you're closing, right? So one of Lonzo or Caruso is not closing the games, and it's probably going to be Caruso because Lonzo gets paid more money. So that shit works. And like, so you hope that Lonzo and Patrick Williams are going to like, I'm just saying fourth quarters for that team. I just feel like they're going to blow so many leads in the fourth quarter.
What's your Knicks win total?
47. That's what I said. That's what I think.
All right. 47. Is that where you're at too, Alex?
48. So like Shwin and I are in the same ballpark. But Shwin, what are your expectations for this team?
Just basically be as good as they were last year. I know that's like not what people probably want to hear, but I think the East did get better. I do think I don't think they were lucky, but I do think the Knicks being one of the they deserve credit for not having any COVID widespread outbreaks in their team. Like they clearly took it seriously as an organization, and they managed it carefully, and the players took it seriously. So they deserve credit for that. But like COVID is still out there. Trust me, I'm not trying to pretend like the pandemic is over and we're scot clear and nothing's ever going to happen. But like I imagine that the widespread crazy outbreaks will be much less of a thing this year. The schedule is also more spaced out, so like it's a more normal schedule. So again, I'm not saying the Knicks got lucky. I just think there were circumstances that went into kind of like how things ended up the way they did. I think they'll be better than they were last year, even if the record doesn't necessarily show a clear improvement. But I will say this, like if you told me they won like 52 games, it wouldn't surprise me because Tibbs, for all his flaws as a playoff coach, he knows how to win regular season games.
Yes.
This team goes 10 deep, 11 deep.
Yes.
Even. Like they are like when they go 11 deep, basically for sure, because we know that when Mitch comes back, Taj will drop out of the rotation. So that's 11 guys that are NBA caliber rotation players minimum that you're talking about. And I like Grimes. I like McBride. I think those guys, they're not going to come in and be like stars or anything like that, but I think they can be solid NBA players even early on in their careers. So I like the depth of this team. They're built for the regular season. Like if they won, if they won like 52 games or some shit like that, it would not surprise me. Like it really wouldn't surprise me if they were like strangely pushing for the 2 seed just because of the depth and because of how Tibbs is as a regular season coach. I just think like more realistic is, 47 wins is similar. 47 and 35 is similar-ish to 41 and 31, which they finished with last year. So that is kind of like my adjustment for East improved. Weirdo conditions are maybe lessened, but the Knicks are still a better team, so they're still going to be really strong.
I agree with you, Shwin. And like it's even like referencing back to the article that you wrote at the end of the last season, right? Or at the end of this past season, where you can expect like some sort of like regression too. I don't expect regression, like them to like take like a dip in their whole progress, right? Like progress isn't like improvement isn't necessarily linear. Like you will have dips, but like I think with the offseason that they had, adding Evan Fournier, adding Kemba Walker, they're going to be a good team. I just look at the entire East as getting better, even though with all the issues, whether it's Ben Simmons, whether it's like you have Kyrie Irving, who's probably going to miss like half the season, or anything else that's going on in the Eastern Conference, I still think that the division will still be tough and it'll still be competitive. But as you pointed out, Tom Thibodeau takes the regular season seriously. So it wouldn't be shocked. Like I wouldn't be so shocked like with Drew's 50 like win total. Like if that happens, like Tom Thibodeau's going to coach to get 50 fucking wins. Like he's going to coach to try to get 82 wins if it was possible. If Tibbs could get 82 wins out of this team, he would coach to get with everyone just like burning like down to the wire. Like everyone just like short circuiting at the end. Tibbs would do that. But I think 40, like I went with 48 just because I think Shwin, as you said, to like even out like the calculation wise with like 41 from last season, I think of like the East still getting better. And I just think like I'm putting in there that Kemba and Rose are going to miss games. And we're going to see some games where we're going to have quickly, like in the starting lineup, we're probably going to have like McBride, maybe even a little bit of Quentin Grimes in there for some games, like in the second unit. And I think with their inexperience, like in the NBA, that's where we're going to see like a little step back, especially if we're going to go against some of the better teams. Obviously can't project when guys are going to be sitting out, but that's what I'm factoring in for like 48 wins. But John, what are your expectations for this season?
I mean, you guys hit it, in the beginning. I'm on the 50 burger, man. I've been on the 50 burger since Jolito came on. He made me stick to that. And I know that it's 42 and a half. Vegas has that, but I'm really with all of you guys. I really don't think there's any reason to, reiterate it, but I think that we got better. And the one thing I'll pull back on, I think Miami got better as well. So I'm not going to go all the way in with you guys. I think Miami got better. I think the Knicks got better, but I think the Atlanta Hawks are going to regress. I think the Celtics are going to stay the same / maybe regress a little bit. I also think the Sixers are going to be kind of whack. Where do you guys think Ben Simmons is going to end up? Like, I don't think he's going to be in Philly. I don't know. Like, I don't think he's going to be in the East either. So it depends.
I think he's going to end up in Minnesota. That's what I think.
For who? D'Angelo Russell?
Something. I think he'll end up.
Okay, that's fine. Then I'm not worried about Philly. But if they get like a good player, in return, it's gonna be tough, man. So
I just think he's nuked his value so much. It's so unlikely he's gonna end up getting anything.
Interesting.
Returned.
dude,
I think-
I might bet him for my most improved player of the year.
Ben Simmons.
The slander is insane, dude. The slander on Ben Simmons is that he had one bad series and then he hates Joel Embiid, but that's fine.
He's had 3 bad. He's had 3 bad round 2 series. He has a clear ceiling as a player. Like he is a star. He needs to perform like a star. Like you don't get fucking all the. I'm sorry, but beating the Wizards in round 1, nobody cares, dude. I'm sorry, nobody gives a fuck. Like I don't give a shit. You're 25 years old. You're on your first max. You're on a max contract. Like the standard. You're supposed to be a generational talent or some bullshit that people keep saying. I do think maybe people should stop using the word generational. By the way, but like he, the standard is higher. He deserves all the slander he's getting. He's acting like a fucking bitch too. The team didn't prioritize me. What are you talking about? They fucking coddled you. Like they literally traded Jimmy Butler because you wanted the ball in your hands and you didn't like playing with him.
Joel Embiid takes 3-pointers because they need spacing.
Yeah. And he shot 38% from 3. Danny Green was a 40% 3-point shooter. Seth Curry, literally one of the best 3-point shooters in the history of the NBA. Seth Curry. And there was another guy in the line. Tobias Harris.
Tobias Harris.
Yeah. A very good 3-point shooter. So like, what are we talking about? Like, if that situation is not good enough for you, then what situation is going to work? Because how many teams have a center who can shoot threes and anchor an elite defense and can score in the post and it is insane. If you cannot make that work, then the problem is you and the problem is the limitations of your game. It is not about everybody else. It is not about the situation. It is not because Doc Rivers said some mean things about you in a post-game press conference. It is not because they deigned to even suggest maybe we would trade him for James Harden. Like, of course I would trade your ass for James Harden. Like, of course I would. James Harden at least shoots the ball. He at least takes shots. He might miss them in key moments, but he takes them. Ben Simmons hides in the dunker spot. He gives the ball to Tyrese Maxey. He's a bum, and he deserves all the slander he gets. I have no respect for how he's handled this entire situation, and I think the fact that he's trying to, it just doesn't work with Embiid. Like maybe it doesn't work with you, man. Maybe the problem is you should look in the mirror because. All I know is that Joel Embiid played at an All-NBA level last year. He played at quite frankly, played at an MVP caliber level last year.
100%. If he doesn't get injured, he might easily win that MVP over Jokic. Just like,
and he played with that injury in the playoffs, and he still balled out in that series. I think he averaged like 30 and 10 or something in that series. So, I mean, this idea that Ben Simmons needs to like go to an organization that prioritizes him and be unlocked and all this shit. It's like
you don't think he deserves it. I got you.
It's not even it's not even that he deserves it. I don't think it's true. Like what do you mean? The situation you had is the one that everybody's talking about that you need to be unlocked. Stretch 5, 3+ shooters around you. You are the point guard. Like what the hell are we talking about here? I don't know. I have no clue.
He's gonna look great in Sacramento with De'Aaron Fox,
please,
Halliburton.
Please, just I think he should go to Sacramento. I think the Kings should just trade because De'Aaron Fox is going to want out there, man. Just trade him already. Just rip the Band-Aid off. I don't know what the Kings are doing. You drafted Davion Mitchell. There's so much overlap with like all their positions. Just trade De'Aaron Fox. Just go get Ben Simmons because like just end it and like his career
that improves the Sixers mightily.
Absolutely. And for him, he's like, I want to go to Cal, which I think the thing with me for Ben Simmons, like, I know he's a good player. I think we got to knock, like, I think like I would have him like as a tier 2 player. I think he's a tier 3 player just because he doesn't get you past the second round. But with Ben Simmons, the thing I just dislike most is that he's making like trade demands and he hasn't earned the caliber to be making trade demands. Dude, you got to make at least a conference final before you can even say, hey, I can take you to a conference final instead of just like you had Trae Young on you underneath the hoop. And instead of just dunking on Trae Young, you decide to pass the ball out. Like what? That makes no sense. Absolutely no sense. And I think just the way like he's handled it, like as Schwinn's already stated, is just disgusting for a guy who since 20 18,
He's not
19.
better
Like
at
now,
anything.
and you don't even shoot. Like if you're not even going to shoot the ball, like how are you demand? You got the max contract.
Did you see what Joel said?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
Joel basically said exactly what is a fact. He's like the limitations of our team are because of you. They're not
Yes.
because of like the roster construction or any of this bullshit. Like we have shooting, we have wings, we have me, like an all NBA center. Like the why did we lose that? Like why did we lose that series? We lost because of you. Like this is like to a lesser degree, but like a more famous playoff mishap, like LeBron in 2011 against the Mavericks, right? Like they
Mhm.
lost. Like you can talk about all these other things, but they lost that series because LeBron wasn't LeBron. Like if LeBron is
Yeah.
LeBron, they win that series, they win the championship. He wasn't LeBron, they didn't win. Like they didn't. Like you can tell me Doc fucked up XYZ things, all the Tobias didn't deliver, but they lost that series because Ben Simmons did not play like Ben Simmons. He did not play like the guy that we see for 82 regular season games and in the first round of the playoffs every year. Nope. He played like the guy that we've seen now for 3 straight times. As soon as he gets to the second round, as soon as he plays a team that has comparable level of talent that actually can scheme to defend him, that he can't counter because he has no counters because he hasn't developed or added a single thing to his game since coming into the NBA offensively. There's nothing about his game that he does offensively that is a single shred better than what it was when he was a rookie.
Is he just a tall Alfred Payton?
Yes, he is. I've tweeted that.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, if Alfred
that is a
Payton
lot.
was 6'10", he's probably a better defensive player, right? Just by being tall. So
yeah,
I guess
I guess what we can give Ben Simmons is that he tries harder on defense than Alfred Payton. So
that is true.
Congratulations, Ben Simmons. You tried. This
is wild. This is wild. I think I'm more confident taking my Ben Simmons most improved.
I know. I will say this though,
dude, Alfred Payton.
I've shit on Ben. Like you just heard, I've shit on Ben Simmons several times. But like, I genuinely do think a team like Sacramento or Indiana or Minnesota or whatever, they should trade for him because like ultimately, I do know like there is that talent there. Like there is like he does shit you can't teach. He's a freak of nature. But like a team like those smaller market teams, they should absolutely roll the dice and trade for him because you're getting him on a 4-year contract. Like he's got 4 years left on his max deal.
And he's
stuck. You don't have the opportunity to add talent like that in those markets very often. So when that opportunity comes, you should take it. And Drew, you mentioned Sacramento. Like I think Sacramento should absolutely be open to doing it.
Of course.
Like I don't even think they would need to give up. I don't even think they would need to give up Fox necessarily. I think they can give up.
That's the holdup.
I think they could give up Halliburton. I think they could give up whatever the fuck.
Who would give up Halliburton for him or Fox? I think that's the holdup.
100% to give up Halliburton.
They did say Fox and Halliburton are like off the table and they would be willing.
Well,
to
that's just
like,
that's just dumb.
Well, I think what that is though is it's like Fox is actually off the table, but Halliburton is like off the table. Like it's like we won't give you Halliburton and everything else you want, but like so he's off the table, but in the right scenario, he could be on the table for you. That's what I think that is. Like Halliburton, Buddy Hields,
just
a couple of first round picks or some shit like that. I would do that if I was Philly. I'd be like, I just want to get rid of him. Like you
have to.
Yeah,
you have to at this point. You have to at this point. Like if he's not going to show up, regardless if he's just not going to take a paycheck, like you're down a player and you could be getting good value back in some way, whether it's like Halliburton or whoever at this point. Even if you want to do like a CJ McCollum, having CJ McCollum is better than having nobody to fill in Ben Simmons. And like I know Ben Simmons can be this like a generational talent that we can see, but he just hasn't done anything to show that he is at this point. So that at this point, it's just a tall Alfred Payton. Like you got to shoot, you got to do something in order to show that you're a superstar player. I forget the name of the writer for the Washington Post, but she wrote that, we're using the term superstar way too loosely. Like
Dude,
superstars to be earned. She burned Ben
Yeah.
Simmons, but she's right. Like we're using the term superstar like way too loosely. Like, oh, this person's superstar, this person's superstar. Like you have to earn the term superstar. Like Ben Simmons is not a superstar until you're saying, all right, this dude gets it to Eastern Conference Finals, and it's like something. It's like whether it's a coaching or it's just like someone gets hot. Like you can't just have these second round exits year after year. That's just what
it's
the
not
hell is
even
that?
just losing in the second round. It's how you're playing. Like I don't care that I genuinely believe it's not to me that they're losing the second round. It is that like I think Joel Embiid. I'll be quite honest. My standard for superstar is basically like, are you an MVP caliber player? Like I think there's maybe at a time in the NBA there's like at most 8 superstars in the NBA at a time. So like Ben Simmons is not even touching that. Like he's not even in the conversation for me. He's like, he's out in the line talking to the bouncer, begging to get into the club right now. Like he's not anywhere near it. But like it's not like I don't think that's a bad thing. Like not everybody can be a superstar, obviously, but like. The criticism for him isn't that it's how he performs in those series, how he disappears. Like he didn't shoot. What was he? He didn't shoot in like the fourth quarter for the last 5 games of the series or something insane like that. Like, bro, when I think Frank Ntilikina will shoot more than you in the fourth quarter, that's a fucking problem. Like that's a really big problem. Like I'm not joking. Like I'm almost positive you put Frank in that series, he would at least taken a shot in the fourth quarter. I promise you, he would have he would have pulled the trigger once. Like that is bananas for a star point guard, primary ball handler to not shoot the ball once for multiple games in a row. That's bananas. Like that's just crazy stuff. The Ben Simmons. He's like, I agree with you, Alex. Like he's got to get traded. They've got to just do it. Like you're not going to get the package that you want. And guess what? That's life. You just got to deal with it. Do you really want to go into the season with like Ben, doing whatever he's doing to get traded, and Joel like constantly having to answer questions about it? And like look at what Joel's already saying. Like, do you really want to bring that into the regular season?
I do. I want that in the regular season.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of do. And
I
do.
I do. So do I.
Daryl Morey does, bro. Daryl Morey does not care.
And forget what Joel Embiid is saying. Look at what the Philly News is saying. You have flash floods just going like the highway, and like here's Ben Simmons coming down. You see a dumpster just floating.
Did you see it? But like also like Doc is just saying crazy shit too. He compared
everyone's
like
saying
Rich Paul to like MAGA voters and stuff. He was like, that was such a banana.
That was
take.
wild. That was a
like,
wild
holy
take.
Shit.
That was a wild take, man. That really was.
This is it's all upside down in Philadelphia, which is great for the Knicks.
Yeah. Yep.
Keep it up.
For me, I guess for me, like all I want to see. I think you guys already hit it. I guess the one thing, just let's get some transition scoring for once. 2 seasons of no transition scoring. Let's get some transition scoring. Yeah, some pace. That would be nice. That's really just what I want to see from the Knicks on that point.
I think Kemba will help with that because not even because he's like necessarily some dynamic transition player, but he actually like will just take quick shots, pull up threes and shit like that.
For sure, and even like Evan Fournier too, because like you said, Shwin, earlier, like we have legit 4 guys who can handle the rock and distribute. So that helps dramatically. But I think that wraps it up for our next topic. I'm gonna get you guys out of here, but Shwin, you are a Buffalo Bills fan. Drew, I know you're a Jets fan that has given up the Jets, but
yeah,
Shwin,
I was watching football when like JP Lossman was the quarterback for the Bills.
Yes.
Oh,
yes. Bills legend JP Lossman.
My goodness, Drew just dropping names. Like
I could pull out random ass names from like Madden 09. I got you guys there. Anything else? No, I'm good.
Oh man, but getting back to it, Shwin, the Buffalo Bills, man. How you feeling? How are you feeling, man? They're doing really well.
I mean, pretty good. I thought they'd be a good team after the last season.
Your division, huh?
What's that? Sorry, say it again.
It's your division.
I think that's how they should operate. That's how they should think.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel right now. I do think that like I actually said this before the season. I thought that the Jets were like they were the best positioned team out of the other 3 teams in the division. I've seen nothing from the first 4 games to make me change
still
my view
agree.
on that.
I
like,
agree with you.
I
A
think
lot.
I think the Jets are like probably a year away from being like if things pan out how they can pan out, whatever. I think next year they could maybe make some noise. This year is like I think they'll probably win like 7 or 8 games. I bet they're over. Full
If
disclosure.
you bet it right now, I think it's at 4. So
Really?
Yeah, I think it dropped, but before this week, it dropped down to 4.
It was. I got it at. I took a
6.
preseason. It was 6.
Yeah.
And I just thought like I kind of liked the talent they had. Like I liked what they did in terms of addressing the lines.
Mhm.
I thought Zach Wilson was better than Sam Darnold. I'm not sure if that's true because apparently everybody that Adam Gase touches just turns into complete dog shit and turns into like functional players everywhere. But
Adam
Zach Wilson
Gase-
still looks good, so whatever. That's
The
fine.
Miami Dolphins coach was the Jets coach.
Yes.
Yes.
Correct.
Oh my god.
Correct.
Yeah, he became the Jets coach.
Yeah.
We hired him after.
Yeah.
For
That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
So, but yeah, like the Bills, yeah, I'm pretty happy with them. I think they're look. I'll say this too, like I don't even think Josh Allen has played that great yet. And then like I look at his numbers, and he's like basically
the
on
thing.
pace. He's
the-
basically on pace to have 4,500 yards passing, 38 touchdowns, less than 10 interceptions, and to have like 5 or 6 rushing touchdowns and 400, 500 rushing yards. So like maybe I'm just spoiled at this point. I don't know.
Talk to me. Talk to me about this because we have the Bills and the Chiefs Sunday night, huge game. Okay.
Mhm.
But for some reason, I cannot get that Pittsburgh Bills week 1 game out of my brain. I just can't get it out of my brain. I know since then the Bills have murdered. Like, just give me your take here. Like, what was going on in week 1? So I just bury that game ball. And do you think you're going to beat Kansas City?
I think week 1 is always weird though. If you just look at the week 1 results, there's so many weird results that happen in week 1. Also like, I think that the Bills probably did a little bit too much of we're not going to play the starters at all in the preseason. They didn't play the starters
Yes.
at all until the final game of preseason. They played them for like a half. They played them for the half against the Packers. And I thought you could see that Josh Allen wasn't in sync. I think the entire offense wasn't in sync. And you could really see it for the first 2 games. Like, even though they beat Miami in the second week, 35-0, but like, I came out of that game being like, the offense was not clicking, which is crazy because you win 35-0. You're like, wow, everything is amazing. But like, they talked about it. The team talked about it. Josh Allen talked about it. The coach talked about it.
And then they dropped 40. Then they got 40-0 last week.
Yeah.
I mean,
based
on those numbers, it's insane. You know what I mean? 70-0.
And also, and even like yesterday, I thought that they left points on the table, right? Like, so like, I don't think they've really functioned like at the level that they're capable of yet, which I know is bananas. And like, also they've been playing like some really bum ass teams. Let's be completely honest.
Yeah.
Like, I think the week 1 thing was probably just a huge aberration. I didn't like and also like, as bad as they played, the reason they lost that game is because they gave up a block punt for a touchdown. Like, that's literally the reason they lost that game. Do I think they'll beat Kansas City? I couldn't tell you. I would bet.
Is the AFC Championship game?
Is this the AFC Championship game? I actually think the Bills and the Browns are better than KC, but KC has Mahomes and the Browns have Baker Mayfield. So like,
He's awful.
Yeah,
I don't know what he's talking about. The Browns stink.
no, their roster is loaded though. Like, that's the thing. Like,
I watched them play though. I never.
I think their roster is like the most stacked from in probably the league outside.
Yeah,
of the quarterback
no, it
side.
definitely is stacked. I think it's stacked, but it's just not in sync. That's the one thing.
And I think a lot of
That's
that's just because of
mistakes.
Baker. I think it's Baker. I think it's Baker's like, if you put a better quarterback in there, I think you'd see a different team. And like, he has his moments. Like, the first couple of weeks of the season, he was really like playing well. Then yesterday he played like absolute shit. So I feel like the Bills and the Browns actually have a better roster than the Chiefs, but Mahomes is better than Mayfield for sure. And for right now, you can't say Allen is better than Mahomes. Obviously, like, no matter how great Josh Allen's talent is, he hasn't proven it yet. So like, do I think they'll beat the Chiefs? I don't know. The Chiefs are bananas. Like, they cannot defend anybody. They can't defend anybody.
The offensive line's back though. They're
Their
back.
offensive line is back. They're really good at run blocking. They do just feel like, I don't know, the way they play though, even yesterday, like I know they, destroyed Philly, but it always feels like they're playing like they're too cool to like.
Yeah, no, it's way too loose. They're playing like way too loose most of these games.
It's so casual. So like that entire Chargers game, it felt like they were just like, they were just turning the ball over and it didn't really matter. It's fine. We'll get it back. And it's like, but you can't stop anybody really. Like they can't stop anybody. So look, I'll sure, whatever. The Bills will win. If they lose, who's gonna give a shit that I said that? Like I don't know if they're gonna actually win. I'm gonna say they're gonna win.
Curious.
They beat this.
Objectively speaking, I'm just wondering like what you think about this game.
I really think like if the Bills if they want to be legit, this has to be an actual competitive game. Because last year we played them twice and neither game was competitive. And that's not acceptable anymore. Like you have to be competitive. You've got to be in the game in the fourth quarter with the game in the balance. Like that should be the standard. If you lose, okay, you can lose to the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead. That's not a crime, but it has to be a game. Close. It can't be bullshit.
Fair. That's fair.
I agree with that. And like, just think about like, I don't know why you said week one's just really weird. I just go back to 2012 when we had who was the Miami Dolphins head coach that we had as the offensive coordinator? Good.
Was it Gailey?
No, it wasn't. No.
Oh no, he passed away.
Yes, he did.
We're
gonna keep everything vanilla.
I forgot his name.
No, it wasn't. No, it was Shoddy.
Right after Schottenheimer, though.
Yeah, it was right after him too. Oh my god, it's on the tip of my tongue.
Was it the guy who did the Wildcat?
Yes.
Yes, it was.
Pirano.
Was it? Is it Pirano?
Yeah, Tony
Sparano.
Tony Sparano. Thank you.
Not Soprano.
Tony Soprano.
Let's go.
Not the Bing. But
yeah, no. I just remember that week one we actually played the Bills and we dropped like I think 40 some odd points on the Bills like week one. And I was like, wow, this offense is going to be good. And then next week it was like, oh no, we suck again.
It happens all the time. It happens like week one is the weird. You see it in college football too. It's always the weirdest weekend because nobody actually knows shit, and teams are still getting a feel for each other.
No, that's a fact.
Facts.
That's a fact. Drew, were you ever going to come back to being a Jets fan?
No.
Oh man,
I was trying. So while Shwin was talking about the Bills, all I was thinking was like they had a running back whose last name was Henry, and it was really bothering me. So I'd eventually figured out it was Travis Henry. Yeah. He had one really good season for the Bills.
Yeah, he was awesome that year. And then
that's it. That's all I got. That's Travis Henry. And then I stumbled across the name London Fletcher, and I was like, I remember London Fletcher. That guy.
Oh yeah, London Fletcher. There you go.
There you go. That's my
that's your analysis.
My football knowledge.
On that note.
No, there's actually one thing. I remember when the Jets were doing the Wildcat, all I kept thinking was, why can't they get Brad Smith from West Virginia
I'm so happy
to run
Brad
the Wildcat?
Smith.
And they wouldn't do it.
Didn't they get Brad Smith though?
We did get Brad Smith.
Yeah,
but he wouldn't run the Wildcat. Like they wouldn't have him as the QB. Like he would just fill in for like the random time. He would rush up the gut and only get like 2 yards, and they'd pull him back out.
It is really.
And it's like
the Wildcat was really funny though, because when they first like did it in Miami, everybody was like, "Holy shit, how do you defend this?"
Whoa.
And now everybody's just like, "Oh yeah, so they're just gonna run the ball now. Like it's fine."
Yeah,
that's why he needed Brad Smith, because he had a cannon.
That's a fact. Brad Smith, man, that's a name. I miss Brad Smith.
I'm so happy. I am so happy that Brad Smith came up in the Knicks podcast. I could not be happier right now.
That's great.
I got all the Wash Jets references. Like
he was a Bill too. I mean, he's
he was. He was. It's kind of funny. The AFC East, like, there's always players that just get like
it just gets circled around.
They just move around the division. Like Shaq Lawson has been in.
Chris Hogan.
Yeah, he's been in. He got drafted by the Bills. He signed with the Dolphins, and he's on the Jets now, right?
Chris Hogan.
No, he's on the Jets. He's literally coaching lacrosse.
Shaq Lawson?
No.
Oh, Shaq Lawson. I thought you said Chris Hogan.
Yeah. No, he's talking about
Shaq Lawson. Oh, yeah. Shaq Lawson.
Didn't Jim Leonard go from the Ravens to the Jets to the Dolphins? You know, guys, remember Jim
Leonard?
I remember Jim Leonard.
He's the head coach right now. He's the head coach for
Jim Leonard's the head coach
for a college
he's a coordinator. He's a defensive coordinator at Wisconsin.
Defensive coordinator in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, he went from the Jets to the Broncos to the Saints, then to the Bills just for like practice squad member of the Bills, and then went to the Browns.
I was
By the
gonna
way,
say,
Brad Smith has the longest touchdown in Jets history, 109-yard kickoff versus the Colts. I'll never forget that.
Yeah, I can't forget
He
that.
should have been the starting quarterback. They should have started him at quarterback.
Yo, bringing back kicks, being the quarterback. Yo, he'd literally Bo Jackson.
Being a wide receiver, come on. That was the
Madden,
guy.
I would move him to the quarterback, and I would just have him be the quarterback. I'd be like, dude, he's just basically Michael Vick. Like, why aren't we doing this?
I agree. I'm with you, man.
They had the second coming of Michael Vick. Did the Jets also have Marcus Vick on the team too?
No, we had Michael Vick himself. We actually had the second coming of Michael Vick. Yeah, he came back.
Michael Vick. Yeah, we had Michael Vick.
And he talked about how he literally wasn't prepared to come in. Like he was just chilling.
Yeah.
It was when we had
that out loud.
Was that after
2013? Yeah, it was after Favre. It was like 2013, 2014 where we had Vic. Vic was like he legit got thrown in. I remember it was against the Steelers.
The Jets did have Vic, and then he went to the Eagles and he was fucking good, and I was mad as hell.
Yeah. He literally said that when he was on the Jets, he was the coach just told him he wasn't gonna play. He was on the road, he was just chilling, then all of a sudden they're like, yo, you're gonna play. So he's like, oh, I don't know the playbook. Like he said this out loud, which drives me nuts. Like, so yeah, that's a Jet quarterback for you, man.
Oh man.
Well, Zach Wilson had a good second half, so there you go.
No, dude, I'm hyped. I'm going to London. I'm so hyped.
You're going?
I'm hyped. Yeah, I'm going.
Nice, man.
This man's nuts.
Yeah, he's a Jets fan.
He likes
You're going to London to watch a team that used to play Mark Brunell at quarterback. Okay.
Hell yeah. We got Zachary, the Mormon Mahomes.
The Jets have a Mormon quarterback.
Yeah.
This team is down bad.
BYU, baby.
Bad.
Fun fact. And the Jets
Man,
they
literally have a cult leader at the quarterback. That's not good.
Fun fact.
He looks
Jets
like he's
are
12.
Hold on. Jets are sponsored by JetBlue, and our quarterback's uncle is like one of the founding fathers of JetBlue.
That's true too.
Can't make the shit up.
We're in it, baby. We're in it. We're in it for the win. 2-3 going into the bye, baby. Let's go.
Let's go. And on that note, Shwin, Drew, thank you guys for coming on. Please let the listeners know where they can find you.
On the Knicks podcast.
They sure know where they should find you guys.
So you can find us at the Strickland. You can follow me on Twitter at ShwinnyPooh. Also, we just started our Patreon. So if you feel so inclined, please feel free to give us some of your hard-earned money. You get extra podcasts, extra written content from really great writers like Jack Huntley and Matt Miranda. So if you can, obviously, if you can afford it, that'd be much appreciated. We appreciate any support we get. If not, just listen to the free shit. We appreciate that too.
Hey, drive up the numbers. I got nothing. I'm barely on Twitter. I can't deal with Twitter anymore. The place is a fucking shithole. I just can't. So like, don't even follow me.
It was the only social media that was working today.
It was.
That was the only one working today. Yeah, no.
Strangely enough.
No, I just don't follow me. Just follow Strickland. Follow Shwin. I don't contribute anything.
I literally love it.
I don't care.
Did you just write something not too long ago, Drew? You wrote something not too long ago. Come on now.
I did. So basically I've just been doing a lot of data stuff, and what's great is I just basically have a bunch of stuff written that I just tell Alex publish whenever as like backup content, basically, because we're doing all the season previews right now. So definitely check that out on the Strickland. But I just did a part one of doing some analysis on play type data, specifically play type defensive data. And we're going to see if it's actually useful or not. Like, can we actually draw any meaningful conclusions off them? So stay tuned for that. Yeah. I don't know if the mailbag was released. Shwin, do you know if that mailbag ever dropped? I did half a mailbag. That's like 3,000 words.
I don't think that has dropped yet.
No. Okay. Well, I answered a bunch of questions.
But also, me and Drew are doing a mailbag this week. A podcast.
Oh, yes. I'm coming back for a podcast. So that's going to be fun. I'm going to answer
questions. That'll drop on Wednesday.
Yeah, that's going to be fun because I'm going to be margarita deep in life coming home. And it's just going to be me, Shwin, answering questions.
From prison?
Yeah, about to say not in prison.
Oh yeah, I'm on a furlough program. Right? Is that what they're called?
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Work release.
I have a work release. So I'm getting out to go do some work. Get exploited like so many people in jail are. Man, we should abolish prisons. I'm telling you that.
Okay.
We should abolish prisons. On that note, Alex,
On
tell
that
them where
note-
you can find us.
On that note, thank you everyone for tuning in for another Knicks episode of the Knicks Jets Etc. podcast. You know what to do. If you listen to this on Apple Podcasts, please make sure to give us a 5-star review and to leave a comment. That helps out so greatly. But if you don't listen to us on Apple Podcasts, it's just okay because we're on Spotify, Google Play, Amazon Alexa, Stitcher, you name it, we're there. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, hit the notification bell. That's also good stuff as well. And as always, please make sure to follow us on all social media platforms. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You could find us on Twitter where it's always working, apparently. And we'll catch you later this week, everyone, for another Jets episode where we preview the game before John goes off across the pond.
I will cry if we lose. Thanks for coming on, guys. Let's go Knicks and let's go Yankees, baby. Let's get that W in Boston.
That's right. 27 rings.